Hey, welcome back, everybody. I have another friend of the show back, Farbod Turanian. Hey, what is going on, Farbod?
What's up, brother? Glad to be back. Just here living the dream. And man, oh man, getting closer and closer to kickoff. Woo! Officially football month. Last day of the
Yeah,
month, first game of the preseason. Let's get it.
yeah, we have a little bit of time to get primed for training camp, and then the season. It's going to sneak up on us really fast. And for those of you who are unaware, I have these friends of the show on occasionally. And if you want to be a friend of the show, you think you have something of value to say about our Rams, send me an email at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. That's how Forbode got on board here, and several others as well. Nice little community of Ram fans we're trying to build here. So Farbod and I talked beforehand, and we have about five or six topics that we are going to discuss. And the first thing, Farbod, is the first question is for you. Do you see any players that are going to surprise us in training camp? Any predictions about someone who's going to maybe come out of the blue and make a move to make the roster period, or maybe elevate themselves to more snaps, being more relevant on offense or defense? Any players you have your eye on in that regard?
There's a few, Mark. There's a few. I mean, there's the obvious ones, right? That we most likely expect. I'm referring to maybe a Tutu Atwell, whose game may elevate tremendously given what we're paying him now, and McVay's recent comments. There's even a Jordan Whittington you can look at that really stepped up as a rookie last year that should just level up and progress more and more. But as far as more of a fringe, I'm looking at more of like a landman even, or even a Pupal. Not that I don't expect them to make the roster, but I think the two of them will elevate to just take over the, not necessarily both start at the same time, but maybe be rotational pieces, because I know we still have Spates there. So I think that'll be a pleasant surprise. I'm really expecting that. There's a gaping need in inside linebacker for this team. I'm so happy we addressed that seemingly this offseason. So it should be a pretty good training camp. We'll see.
Yeah, I think there's going to be three or four undrafted free agents that are going to maybe surprise us. And, a lot of those guys will end up on the practice squad, but still, you know how it goes in preseason. We get overly excited about these guys because they're on the field making plays. But
You just reminded me, Mark. Remind me the name of that guard that we talked about.
Willie Lampkin?
Lampkin, yes. Okay. There was a recent video that I pulled up on YouTube that was, I believe it was before the draft. And it was talking about the person talking was talking about when he talked to Jason Kelsey, and he was saying how the interviewer asked him who are the most difficult people to defend as a center in the NFL, and he actually mentioned the new defensive tackle we just got, Puna Ford, because he says the hardest ones are the ones that are shorter but have extremely long arms, a long arm reach. Brother, believe it or not, Lampkin falls in that same category. And he pointed that out. He said, even though Lampkin is a shorter, undersized center or guard, his arm length is that of someone who's 6 foot plus, easily. So he expects him to do some damage in the league and potentially make a name for himself just based off that. So that is someone actually I'm probably most excited to see.
Yeah, we have some competition there. And what makes Lampkin, I saw some of those same videos, by the way, and what makes Lampkin, two things that make him very valuable. The one thing you mentioned, I think his wingspan is like 78 inches or something crazy like that.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing is in at the college level, he played all three interior positions a lot. So, those guys are so valuable that they can, you can plug them in at center, left guard, right guard.
Yeah, and
I'm
that's
pulling for that guy.
who we go for, those Swiss Army knife type players. That's why Joe Nokun
Right,
lasted with us so long. He could play all four positions. So
right, right. Okay, that's something to keep our eyes on. And I have a guy that I am going to have my eye on. And I haven't been doing a good job of like digging into some of these undrafted free agents. And there's one I'm starting to think has a shot, but I'm going to save that for another episode because I've already got some stuff prepped on that. Um, so, as far as the Ram team in general, what are you most excited about heading into training camp in the 2025 season?
I think it's the low hanging fruit answer of that question mark, but I'm not ashamed to say it. Man, let's see Devontae Adams on the field already. Oh, man. I cannot wait to see him and Puka on the field with Stafford slinging it. He is just another coach on the field. He's similar to Cup in that way with that experience, that IQ, and his love of the game and his athletic ability. Oh, man. That is probably who I'm most. That's the low hanging fruit answer, though. I know. Everyone's
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah, and I think there's gonna be I think having Terrence Ferguson, assuming that he emerges as, a
Yeah,
real impact player,
for
him
sure.
and Devontae together, present a different type of Rams passing attack than we've had in the past.
Yeah,
No knock on Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. They bring certain things to the game, but I think Terrence Ferguson and Devontae Adams have the potential to offer something quite a bit different.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's going to be fun to see.
And if we want to look at the other side of the ball, I think what I would say, and probably a lot of Rams fans, including yourself, would agree, is Emmanuel Forbes. Man, we've heard nothing but good things about him so far. How he's elevated his game, gained some weight. Come on, man, gain even more. But man, if he starts balling out in training camp, that is a great sign, especially for all. I'm sure there are some Rams fans out there that are a little hurt that we didn't end up getting Ramsey. Oh well, if Forbes steps up the way we hope and seemingly expect, that shouldn't be any consequence. We should be just fine, and it's going to pull down.
Yeah, and going back to the Rams draft, not selecting a cornerback,
Yeah,
that has to tell you. It suggests to me that maybe they liked what they saw in Forbes, and they see him as their 2025 cornerback draft pick, even though he joined the team late. Let's see what else here. You probably got some low hanging fruit here too. I think 95% of Ram fans are going to have the same answer to this one. What worries you the most?
yeah. We just talked about it. Probably cornerbacks. That, like you pointed out, Mark, we didn't address that in the draft. Didn't sign anyone. It looks like that's gonna be a big name there. So that's probably what's yet to be seen. That was, I get, between that and inside linebacker, our weakest positions. But that's one. And then, of course, we can talk about offensive tackle at this point with the blood clots and AJ. Man, pulling for him. I know it's probable he'll miss a game or two at least, but I'm hoping he doesn't miss any games. He just gets better by the start of the season. Oh, let's see. It's gonna.
Yeah, then it begs the question: Can DJ Humphreys? Can this offense roll with DJ Humphreys? And
Right.
that's an open question. I like to stay positive
I know.
with regards to that. He's obviously an experienced guy. Had the serious injury, came back, did not play well, and now he's had another year to rehab. And we'll see, man. But that's such a critical position. And
Seriously,
a lyric was so solid,
I
such an
know.
underrated
I
player.
was so glad we re-signed him, and it was great. It was great seeing. If you remember, we re-signed him and we get Stafford back like almost simultaneously. It was like two peas in a pod. Like we got the quarterback and his left tackle.
Right,
So hopefully he's able to, at the very least, play the majority of the season. The
right.
majority. I
Yeah, and
wouldn't miss any games, but we'll see.
as far as cornerback goes, I have been kind of pounding this idea home. We may not have any elite cornerbacks, but I think we got 5 or 6 competent
Sure.
cornerbacks. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be nice to have, Jari Alexander or Jalen Ramsey, I suppose, but I think we'll be okay with the guys we got, which
Yeah.
leads me into the next question. We talked about tackle, we talked about cornerback, maybe overall the secondary could need some beefing up, perhaps. Maybe not, Sean McVay seems to be content, but, do you think there's any more moves coming? I mean, there's been some names circulating, TJ Watt. I always thought the Rams might bring John Johnson back, but I think that train's left the station. What you think any more moves are coming down the pipe for the Rams?
Well, I will definitely, with full confidence, say we are definitely not getting TJ Watt, Mark.
Yeah,
That's
right.
just pure talking heads, man, trying to just write a headline. I think there's no why? Look what
Right.
we have to give up to get him. It would have to be probably at least 2 first-round picks. Let's keep our first-round picks to go trade up to 1 to get a quarterback next year, right? So let's not waste those on a player for a position we're already pretty set at. Even though I'm not talking anything bad about TJ Watt, that he's going to be a future Hall of Fame player for now, easily. But we're good on edge. A move we might make, I think, right now, man, I really can't see us making a move immediately. I think the moves we could have made have happened in the backup tackles position for AJ's potential blood clot situation or his blood clot situation. I think if there will be another move to be made, it's going to be based off an injury. And it'll also be based on if an Emmanuel Forbes or another cornerback isn't stepping up, they see that is still a position. Maybe they go scour the waiver wire or a trade for another cornerback out there. Besides that, man, Mark, this team is stacked. On paper, we are good, man.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
it's
see a dire hole in
yeah,
the
it's
team.
you're right. It's a really solid roster. They've addressed everything. And like I said, there's a couple positions that are maybe missing elite players, but hey, man, you can't have everything. And it's funny you mentioned TJ Watt. I was talking to my neighbor, a Steeler fan, about the same issue, the same potential trade, and we both agreed from the Steelers' perspective, TJ Watt for Byron Young and a first round pick, they'd do it in a heartbeat. He said, "Oh, we'd be all over that."
Yeah,
Um, and so maybe from a Rams perspective, you got to maybe we shouldn't be too thrilled about that. And I think most of us, some of those things out. If they were to, I tend to be positive. If the Rams were to make that trade, I'd be super excited.
sure.
But realistically, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I probably would have a different opinion come the first round of next year's draft. Yeah, not having those 2 picks and the
Exactly.
flexibility. Yeah,
Right now, we got a lot of ammo for the first time in a very long time. So let's
yeah,
actually use it to benefit a need on the team right now.
yeah. Now you wanted to talk about Kairen Williams and, some of the news coming out,
Yes.
uh, regarding him.
Yes.
So
I'm sure a lot of Rams fans saw this, but recently our running backs coach was interviewed, Coach Gould, and the interviewer asked him what does he see new based on the running backs this season so far, this offseason so far. And the one thing he pointed out and emphasized was he has noticed tremendously that Kairen Williams' explosiveness has increased tenfold. I'm paraphrasing here. You guys can probably go look up the exact quote verbatim, but he emphasized that. And Mark, man, that was yes, Kyron had a fumbling problem. Okay, but I think if you ask a Rams fan what's Kyron's biggest weakness, it's his explosiveness. It's his ability to gain 20 plus yards, 30 plus yards. And so if he's working on that, that benefits the whole team and him, of course. So that's something I loved seeing from our running backs coach Gould talking about that, because if Kyron can get that explosiveness, that would be great. When's the last time we saw any of our running backs break off for 50 yards and a touchdown? I feel like it's been since Todd Gurley. It's been a long time. So if
yeah,
Kyron returns to that, that would be great. And I'm sure a lot of Rams fans will be much more comfortable if and hopefully when we lock him down for a multi-year deal. So
yeah. I think the most explosive running play, if you want, it wasn't really a running play, but I think Puka has had more explosive plays. And I'll never forget that play on the sideline against the Giants,
yeah,
where the Giant cornerback thought he had him, thought he was going out of bounds, spin move. That was a 50, 60-yard run, I think. But yeah,
yep,
you're right. From the running back position, just have not seen it.
right, right.
And in Kyron's defense, Todd Gurley's a pretty tough act to follow. He was
Yeah,
as explosive as they get.
sure, of course, man, of course.
Yeah. So let's talk about, you wanted to talk about special teams as well. I'll let
Yes.
you have the floor here. Exactly where are you going with your special teams talk?
Okay. Okay. I think, Mark, we're about to see a top 3 special teams unit in the NFL when the Rams is coming season. Let's start at Josh Carty. Okay. Josh Carty wasn't perfect last year. We know that. But Josh Carty was damn near perfect towards the end of the year.
Yes, he
In
was.
fact, he was perfect the last 3 games of the year. Okay? He was 1 for 1 or 2 for 2 from 20 to 29, 2 for 2 for 30 to 39, 1 for 1 for 40 to 49. No 50-yarders, but he was 6 for 7 of 50-yarders the whole year. And he was 100% on his PATs, his PATs, the last 3 games. So I'm fully expecting him to build off that. No one's perfect. I don't expect him to be 100% on the season. He's going to miss kicks. They all do. But if he can be more consistent, I mean, you expect him to make all their PATs, but that start there. But I am expecting him to definitely build off where he ended off the last season. And he seemed to really calm his nerves, get it more under control, and kick damn well for us. So that's
Yeah.
where I want to start. Yeah.
There was a time early in the year where I remember getting texts. I was like, "We need a new kicker."
Yes. Right. It
And then
got a little shaky. Yeah.
yeah, by the end of the season, it's like this guy's got it.
Exactly. Feeling good. Cardi party, baby. Cardi party. And then next, I want to talk about our punt return unit because we did pick up Britton Covey. And there's actually a great highlight reel of him returning punts for the Eagles before when he was with them the last few years. And I feel like we've had decent punt return. I mean, Xavier Smith's been good, especially that return he had in the Niners game. Hell yeah. But a little bit more consistency might be nice. So I think it'll be good seeing Covey and maybe Xavier compete for that punt return role. And that's only going to make us better at that position. Because I feel like it's been since Tavon Austin we had someone who could actually, and probably the last person who actually took it back all the way on a punt return. And that was fun to see as a Rams fan. So that's one thing too, the return unit. And then lastly, long snappers, Alex Ward, he's solid. We don't have to think about that. He's fun. Lastly, of course, Ethan Evans. Guys, I think he might be the best punter in the league. I think he's getting there. He might be there next year. Guys, look, if you follow him, and I say guys because not just you, Mark, everyone watching this, go to Ethan Evans' Instagram page, and you will see highlight reels of him practicing his punts. You will see this guy deadlift 822 pounds. A punter. A punter. Not to mention how much he's squatting. But in this highlight reel that he just he filmed himself doing some punts recently with a coach that's I guess he's training with. I'll go in order here of the punts that he did and the hang time he had. He did a 53-yarder, 5.38 seconds. 45-yarder, so shorter distance, 5.41 seconds. So it went higher up. Excellent. 59-yarder, 5.43. Guys, I know we got to hit at least 5 seconds. A 5-second hang time is ideal. 61-yarder, 5.50 seconds. 55-yarder, 5.55 seconds. Notice a trend here, all over 5, well over 5. 50-yarder, 5.56. 51-yarder, 5.57. 56-yarder, 5.67. 56-yarder again, 5.73. And lastly, 60-yarder, 5.86. So it's not just about the distance. It's obvious. We have a punter, guys, that truly cares about the craft. He doesn't just want to boom it. He wants to boom it with enough hang time for our return, our coverage team to get there, to make a play on the return man. He's been great at doing corner kicks towards the end of the season. And I don't know if you noticed this, Mark. There was a YouTube video, and I couldn't find it. I tried to find it again. I saw it a few weeks ago. But it emphasized and it pointed out how many times Evans's punts, the return man catching it, fumbled it. He just bobbled it. He botched the return.
Huh.
And I don't remember seeing a punter in the league that causes that so often because it's a type of ball. I think they call it a watermelon ball, if I'm not mistaken. It's the way that he makes the ball traject and be in the air instead of a tight spiral like a quarterback wants to make. It's a wobbly ball. So even though the return man's ready and perfectly able to catch it, it hits him and just bobbles out and it falls down. Just look at the Eagles game. I think that happened once or even twice with
Yeah.
the return man, with Cooper DeJean. So pretty cool seeing that. It gives us a shot. And actually, that happened too. I was at this game. It was the Jets game. It happened, and Jordan Whittington jumped on the ball because it was a fumble. Just boom,
Right.
launched it, fell out, jumps on the ball. How many punters in the league are doing that? You know?
Yeah, and
Just-
he did have really good statistics, and I don't have them in front of me, but I know I talked about this, especially late in the era of kicks inside the 20, which you
yeah.
mentioned, the corner kick, the coffin corner, as they call it. So he's obviously has the leg strength. He's gotten better at the directional, the hang time, and then what you talked about, the ball movement. And do you think I thought you were going to also go somewhere else as far as do you think Ethan Evans and his body type lends itself to some trick plays as well?
I remember I was a huge proponent for trick plays back when we had what was the last punter we had?
Well, Johnny Hecker, and then we
Hecker,
had
Hecker,
right.
because he played quarterback in college or high school, one of the two. And so he had that knack to throw the ball. So I was always open for trick plays. But, I mean, I'm sure Evans can take a hit if he wants to scramble with the ball. But do we really want our punter getting
Yeah,
below that potentially?
yeah.
I don't
I
know.
maybe I was probably reading between the lines too much. Uh I was envisioning a 4th and 1 punt
And
where
he just
all of a sudden
barrels in.
Evans is under center.
He just runs up and snaps
But,
it. Oh, that'd be cool.
yeah, but, that's the thing about the Rams, I don't know if people are aware of this, but they don't run trick plays very often. I
No.
mean, under McVay, they had the one, did they have one in the playoff game maybe?
I think it was against
With
the Niners,
Stat
actually. That same Niners game I was referring to.
Yeah, so it's just not something I think McVay, just had, especially with his regular offense out there, he's got enough, mad scientist stuff going on, without pulling off weird ass trick plays
Right.
that he
He
just
has to
doesn't
be
go there.
desperate. Yeah, it has
Yeah,
to be a desperate thing that he does. He's typically a very conservative coach. He's not going to want to risk something like that. He trusts his defense, and that's the beauty of it. I think it boils down to that too. How much do you
no,
trust your defense? Because if you're doing a lot of trick plays on fourth and what have you, you're
yeah,
probably not hoping your defense has to go back on the field, especially. So
yeah, and trick plays, you got to practice them. I think even a little bit more than your regular plays, right? Because of
yeah,
such oddball plays.
yeah, you could forget him.
Yeah, I think so. I was wondering if I've had this conversation with Ian. When they signed Britton Covey, is he a lock on this roster? Do you think he is, or I don't see the Rams carrying keeping Xavier and Covey though, right?
That's what I mean. I think so. Maybe I shouldn't say a lock because what I do think is going to happen is competition at the position.
Right.
So I do expect to see him in preseason, and there should be trade-offs between Xavier and him.
Right.
So the only drawback of that is, of course, they're returning it with the backups blocking for them, so it's not quite the same as game
Yeah.
week one. But so maybe not a lock, but I do expect him to compete heavily and got a good shot of it because
Yeah.
he seemingly is an upgrade over Xavier Smith, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
I guess the way they both make the roster is if we think of Mumfield as wide receiver number 5
Mhm.
and Xavier as wide receiver number 6 and Covey is strictly special teams, I guess. But you get when you start working through that 53-man roster, a lot of people, you have to work through that exercise to realize how difficult it is. You want to keep 9 or 10 offensive linemen. You're going to keep only 3 running backs. You're going to keep 2 quarterbacks. How many defensive linemen we going to carry? It gets tough, and something's got to give. And for that reason, I just thought it was my starting point would be Covey or Smith, and not both of them, unfortunately. But I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I could see that too, Mark. Covey or Smith. But it'll be a good competition to see. So
Yeah, and it's a shame because Xavier, that play against the 49ers, that game and that win was crucial.
yeah,
I mean, and
oh,
it
yeah,
was one of the biggest plays of the year, and it was Xavier Smith, and
for sure.
so I'd hate to see him not make this team, but he'd end up on the practice squad at a minimum, I think.
Yeah, for sure. He wouldn't be
Oh,
jobless.
so any last thoughts before we wrap things up? We covered everything that we had planned to talk about.
Yeah. Well, this is just a thought I had on, if you recall, Mark, in the 2021 season, I think it was the first play of the game. It was a play action to Cam Akers and a deep shot to Van Jefferson, a touchdown, something like that. I don't remember if that was the first play or the second play. It was the first drive, I remember. Boy, wouldn't that be cool seeing that this year to Devontae Adams?
Yeah, Ian and I were talking about what the first play
I
might be.
remember
We were
that.
actually talking about Devontae's first catch, not necessarily the first play.
Yes.
But yeah, that would be. I remember that play with Van Jefferson. I do
Yes.
remember
It
that.
wasn't touched. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
and
Ian said he would think like a little 5-yard screener or a little.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can see that
Who
too.
knows?
But I'm
Hey,
hoping for a bomb, man. Bring it, bring it.
yeah, I could see play action. Play action, fake handoff to Kairen and Devontae doing some damage downfield. And then if it's incomplete, we'll be all like, "Hand the ball off. What are you doing?"
Exactly. Run the damn ball. Oh.
Yeah, we're pretty, we Ram fans, we want everything. We want a run game, but we also want the bombs to Devontae as soon as possible.
For
But,
sure.
it's gonna be a fun season, I think.
Oh, Super Bowl or bust, Mark. This is the
Yeah.
year, brother. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. Mm,
Well, hey, thanks for joining me. It's
sure.
always good to have you back, and we'll do it again before the season starts, I'm sure. And once again, if you're a Ram fan out there, you have some opinions, some thoughts, or you just want to talk Rams football, we can even talk about old time Rams football. If you're an OG, we'll talk about those 1970s, 1980s teams. Anything you want to talk about, just send me an email at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. Hey, thanks a lot for Bode, and out here, have a great weekend, man.
You too, brother. You too, man. I'm excited to be on. Thank you so much for having me on again. Can't wait till next time.
Okay, out here from Rams Up.